Hey, hi everyone. Welcome. And I'm happy that we are finally here. Thank you very much for staying with us. This is going to be a great night. So wherever you are, because you have to know that we're in everywhere in the world. Just be aware of that. So good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you very much for being with us. This is the end of year award ceremony, Reimagining Futures by the Association of Professional Futurists. Thank you very much for being with us. And this event is a very special thing. We have prepared this with a lot of love for all of you, especially for you. And this is to celebrate our members, our volunteers, and the members of the community and in everywhere of the world that have made the past year a whole success. So thank you very much. And well, we're going to start tonight. And first of all, I want to introduce you to our APF chair, Sherman Cruz. So here it is.
Thank you very much, Mauricio. Magandang umaga, magandang hapon, magandang gabi sa ating lahat. It means good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from Manila. It has been a great, amazing, and wonderful year for all of us, the APF, and capping it with an end of the year ceremony, putting our winners, recipients, members, volunteers, partners, and networks front and center is just right. Thank you to each and every one of you for signing up and for joining us today. We are very pleased to welcome all of you that have been with us this year, as well as to those who are new to the APF. Before anything else, on behalf of the APF board, we would like to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to all who generously engage with us and help us in more ways than one to make 2021 a super awesome year for all of us. The people behind the APF Latin America event, branding and strategy workshops, the Futures Festival, our engagement with the World Futures Studies Federation team, the First Friday, the Friends of Foresight, the Public Sector Foresight Network, Compass, Foresight Evaluation Task Force, Ethics and Philosophy of Futures, Interim Governance Committee, the APF Toronto Global Gathering team who's preparing for our next year's gathering, the membership committee, the nominating committee, all of us, from the volunteers, your love and compassion to make futures and foresight more valuable and impactful to our members, our clients, our communities, our organization, and our stakeholders all around the world is second to none. Your amazing energy has allowed us to achieve many of our goals and targets this year. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but please bear with us as this is our first time to host an APF end of the year awards ceremony. It was a result of, I would say, a fun moment that we had in an executive meeting, Tanya, I, Rebecca, Mauricio, and Nicole 2 weeks ago. And we only had, well, roughly more or less than 4 or 5 days to put of all of this together, and for our team as well in the last 24 hours. We are learning, but let's have fun and do enjoy the breakouts as well. Thank you very much. Hiraya Manawari.
Thank you, Sherman. And as you say, love and compassion. That's really, really important. Those are really, as Rebecca is saying, those are powerful guiding principles. And before we start with the awards, we want to show you something very special. So we have a video for you, a video showcase. So here we go. What's that, huh? That was wonderful. And now, so we are starting with the first block of awards of the evening. So uh, please just be aware that we are going to start with the APF Student Recognition Program. This program, it's one of the main ones for our association. Universities worldwide, they undergraduate, masters, PhDs, programs, degrees in foresight and futures from all around the world. And for this part, first of all, I want to introduce the members of the APF Student Awards team, and headed by Peter Hayward and his team, Peter Hayward, Charles Brass, and the judges, Zan Chandler, Baron Wheelwright, Jim Burke, Paul Tero, K.E. Strong, Sam Miller, Terry Green, Jim Brawl, Sabine Lemon, Tim Mack, and Josh Calder. So thank you very much to all the team from the Student Recognition Program. And here we have to name the awardees, Peter Hayward. So Peter, please, the stage is yours.
Part of a marvelous team of people, and I'm just one of a number of people who have actually stewarded the student awards for really, the last 10 or so years of the APF. It is a remarkable award process. So yeah, and we give awards to undergraduate, postgraduate students, and I'm going to announce the first winner. And I'll just before I start, I'll explain the process. We nominate to universities to give us their 3 best pieces of work. They are then put into a judging process that is handled by Charles and the judges. The judges and in panels review them, and they put together a list of recommended best awards, and we recognize those. We give certificates to the winning people, and at the master's level, they get membership as well. So it's a terrific award. It gets recognition for the APF in the universities, and we attract the best students to hopefully come and join the APF. So first category we're starting with is the undergraduate, and I want to cover off the undergraduate. We give a group award, and the undergraduate award this year went to, and my Spanish is terrible, but we're stepping into the master's group. I thought we were doing undergrad. Oh no, here we are. Thank you. So this is at Monterey, the Technological de Monterey, and the winners were the team with Mariana, Itzayana, and Mauricio, and their amazing paper. I do hope that people can have a look at it. The Futures of Femicides in Mexico in the year 2030. But Mariana, Itzayana, and Mauricio there to accept their award. Is anyone going to jump on for them? I think some of them are in the room, aren't they?
Yes, I'm sorry. We didn't know if we were able to talk, but thank you so much for this award. I think I speak for all my team members that we're really, really excited about this. We were really passionate about our work, and we're really happy to be here today. Thank you.
Can I just ask you, I mean, it was a very challenging topic to do a piece of futures work on.
I don't know if any other of my team members want to respond, but yeah, it was really hard, but we were really passionate about this topic because we think it's really important, not only for Mexicans to be aware of this great problem, but worldwide to know that this is an issue that it affects Mexico a really big deal. but it's also worldwide, and it talks about gender discrimination. That is something that we're really passionate of to end and to put our grain of salt in making this issue aware.
No, so congratulations. It was a very courageous piece of work and a very, very well executed piece of work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you as fully fledged members of the association in the future.
We would like that very much. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. We
Thank
will
you.
like to join.
Congratulations. So moving on to the first of the graduate awards, and starting with the group awards. And we'll start with third place. The Ontario College of, I've got to get this name right. Does somebody want to give me the, I always call it OCAD. I always call it OCAD, and I'm not actually, I want to actually make sure I give it its correct name. What is its correct full title?
The correct title, Peter, is OCAD University.
It is OCAD. I don't have to actually.
OCAD University, yeah.
There you go. That's great.
Peter, I think the group of the undergraduate group winners are going to make a presentation.
Oh.
Yes, they're going to share about their work.
Fantastic. I wasn't sure.
Thank you.
May I share the screen, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Let's see. Okay.
Sorry, we didn't know about the format or anything, so we were just waiting.
Oh, good. We're all here to learn and see. We're excited.
Thank you. I mean, first of all, we want to thank the APF for the consideration and invitation to participate in this ceremony. The theme that we want to present is the future of femicides in Mexico for the year 2030. So I don't know if anyone is familiar with the subject, but femicide is the systematic gender-based murder. So we want to advise that the content may be a little bit sensitive for specific audiences. A little bit of context. Currently in Mexico, about 10 women are killed every day. Actually, Maria Salguero, who is a geophysicist concerned about this event, developed this map. This map show the position of each femicide in Mexico. And Data Civica revealed that from 2000 to 2019, in Mexico, more than 42,000 women were killed, and more than 62,000 are still missing. According to official figures, more than 57,000 complaints from female victims of intentional injuries have been registered, and this means that there are at least 7 complaints of gender violence every day. The Secretariado, for the Secretariado, this crime represents only the 0.05% of all the crime incidents in Mexico. I mean, and this is to the fact that the legal representations are subjected to the way in which each state prosecutor's offices classifies this type of murder. But I mean, this is not just a number. These women whose stories are subjected to the public view matter. Actually, in the media, we saw a lot of changes, and the way the media covers these stories, the way the society perceives these stories influences the way institutions react and how the institutions how the institutions treat the victims. So a little bit of the methodology we did.
Well, the methodology that we use with first, all our variants, we put them in the Marquette tree. Then we use the SWOT analysis and we did this little chart. Then we start interviewing our specialists with the, and yes, we interview them, and that we did the processing MDI, and we did this little chart that you can see here. And then with those numbers, we did the mapping indirect influence. And with those results, we decide to do the Peter-Schwartz axis. And then with those 4 scenarios, we did the storylines.
Yeah, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about these storylines or for the 4 possible scenarios. So the 4 possible scenarios are based on the effectiveness of actions in the public sphere, which is the x-axis, and the private sphere, which is the y-axis. The ideal scenario we call we can, we will, is when the public sphere options and impunity are drastically diminished in this narrative. Furthermore, the intermediate scenarios are those where there are only forceful actions of a single sphere of actors. A lot of politics results describes a future where the rule of law and the permanent process describes the narrative where the problem of femicides in Mexico persists. Those having a greater demand for activities from all the public spheres, especially on the civil society. Finally, A Million Altars narrates one of the most hopeless scenarios, which is the one where impunity, corruption, and the ineffectiveness of the Mexican state continues to be overwhelmed by femicides. Likewise, this scenario shows the upward trend in the rate of femicides cases persists by allowing social gender inequalities and the state that ignores the legitimate demands of activists, NGOs, groups, and international organizations.
And now we want to thank all our teacher or professor that helped us. I don't know. If he was Dr. Gandara, he helped us achieve this award. And if you want to contact us, this is here is where you can contact us if you want to know more about our paper also. And if you have any questions about it, if you want to know more about what we did, or if you want to read it also. Thank you.
There are some of the reference from the data and the images that we use for this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Wonderful, wonderful work. Muchas felicidades. Felicidades de veras, chicos. Wonderful, wonderful work. A very, very important topic for our country. And Peter, go back to you.
Moving into the graduate awards and starting with the group awards. And third place was OCAD University, the group with Trevor Bell, Sai-Ying Chen, Gulnar Yossi, and Ali Milad, with the paper entitled Control, Delete, Alt. So if the team are there, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Yeah.
Apologies,
I'm Gulnar,
apologies for mucking up your name.
No issues. Unfortunately, my team couldn't be here. And I think due to conflicting time zones and previous time work commitments. But if it is okay, we've prepared like a 2-minute or 3-minute speech. We were not able to prepare a presentation.
Go for it.
So yeah, hi, I'm Gulnar, and I'm delighted to accept the award alongside my very awesome OCADU project team of Ali Milad, Trevor Bell, and Sing Chen. Our submission for the award centered around an experiential future that explores implications at the intersection of health, well-being, and nature. The final artifact we submitted brought to life the limit or discipline scenario developed by us. It's a future that portrays a sterile world on the brink of ecological collapse, one wherein physician-assisted suicide is viewed as means of reducing environmental footprint and is not only normalized, but rather appropriated, encouraged, and commercialized as a service by companies that develop their own means and menus of voluntary personal decommissioning offerings. The designed future took the form of an interactive website, control-delete-alt.com, and was accompanied by a live performance of an AI customer service cell. Our aim is to inspire climate action in the present and challenge the normative techno-utopian view of the future by highlighting a discomforting yet very possible future. In designing the final artifact, our team relied heavily on our distinct multicultural background, multidisciplinary backgrounds, which are business, communication, industrial, and visual design, and the deep knowledge and guidance of our instructors at OCADU, Helen Kerr and Zan Chandler. Thank you, Helen and Zan. And a big hi to my other OCADU colleagues. And thank you once again. We are honored to be part of the APF end of the year award ceremony. In the chat, I will put in our contact details in case somebody wants to know a little more about our project. And thank you. Over to you, Peter.
Yeah, it was a very challenging. I mean, clearly you deliberately produced a very provocative dystopian future that looked commercially and to some extent socially acceptable. That was obviously a deliberate choice.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
What were the challenges in actually doing that, in actually coming up with a workable version of a future that I can't even, that you know would have been very uncomfortable for you to actually imagine?
Yes, in many ways it was. Also, when we actually developed those futures, we were at the brink of the start of COVID restrictions.
Right.
It was a time that a lot of freedoms that we took for granted, meeting our friends, going out and having a meal, things were kind of closing in on us. So in many ways, I think it kind of made it easier and more plausible for us to imagine a future. And I think we really wanted to highlight that if we do not take care of our wildlife, our nature, and the ecology right now, this may not be something that will just be fictional. It could become a reality. In fact, when we delivered, it was a challenge for 4 of us to actually create a sort of a performance working remotely with very limited means. We created a dramatized performance for our class for our final presentation. Unfortunately, we were not able to save a recording of that, or we would have submitted that as well, which is why we actually submitted a script for review. But it was challenged to deliver it over Zoom, but we got a very encouraging response from our instructors as well as classmates.
Yeah, no, it was excellent work. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll move to the second placed group work. And this is also an OCAD product. The team of Alexis Tennant, Nam Honang, and Sharia Khan, The Future of Identity and the Wild, second place Masters Award. And sorry, Hannah Chavets. Any of the team with us?
Hi, Peter. Yeah, a few of us are here. We're just going to wait for Alexis to share her screen.
Welcome.
Thank you. If you folks don't mind, I think we'll just get into a really short presentation. Try to show you a little bit about our project. So thank you again, everyone, for having us here. Thank you to the APF for this honor and for the guidance of our instructors, Helen Kerr and Zan Chandler. My name is Nam. I'm here with two of my teammates, Hannah and Alexis, and we are missing our final teammate, Sharia, today, who couldn't make it. Our Experiential Futures project that we made for our graduate studies program at OCADU was centered around the futures of the wild in 2040. How wild is defined was up to us, and the assignment was to add another element into the mix. We chose identity. Next slide, please. So what we wanted to know was how we might derive, perceive, and assign identity in the future, and how that might impact our relationship with the wild. In our case, the wild was nature and climate over the next 2 decades. Next slide, please. As a group, we believed that there were countless intersections between how humans form identity and nature and impacts on nature. For example, whole cultures are based on sharing and domesticating food. Art as well has always had a fascination with nature. William Turner's paintings, for example, famously depicted the fragility of human identity in the face of savage and sublime nature. We form identity, culture, and policy from our interaction with nature. Next slide, please.
So now I'm going to walk you through our methodology. So starting from the left of this slide, we did a CLA to understand the underlying forces of how identity influences the wild. We then explored alternative metaphors guided by the generic images of the future to examine distinct outcomes that might occur as a result of a climate catastrophe. So we then used backcasting combined with a CLA to examine what the key events might look like to make all of these worlds come to life. And last, we strengthened each scenario with the generic images table to deconstruct the ethos of each world.
From there, we developed 4 different scenarios. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to actually skip over to the one that we eventually based our design future off of, but we did have a growth scenario, a discipline scenario, and a collapse scenario. Our transform scenario was the one that we used for our design future. And the metaphor here is we all wear the uniform. And so the name of the scenario is Equal Ground. It's based in Toronto, Canada. And the type of identity that we explore in this particular scenario is relational identity. And so in relational identity, the focus is on the role relationship between 2 parties, in this case, between humans and the wild. And in this context, self-esteem is derived from fulfilling one's obligations within that relationship. So for our design future, we reimagined the work that the City of Toronto might be doing in the context of this identity shift and how they might be communicating this work to the public. So as such, we created a new website for the City of Toronto, and Hannah is going to share that the website in the chat if you're interested in looking at it. We explicitly used humor throughout the website for 2 reasons. The first is that we want to make the content memorable and accessible, and we know that humor helps with that. Secondly, we want to demonstrate an essential vibe of this world, and that is of extreme transparency and a congenial relationship between the government and the public. And we have a couple of minutes here, so we have a very short video that kind of gives you a little sense of what's on this website.
Hey everyone, Biophilia just checking in. If you've been following the project in the last few days, you'll know that the team has decided to pursue ingestible sensors to engage the community of gray squirrels. The ingestibles for this project will be inserted into acorns. When squirrels eat them, the sensors will break apart and travel through the body, allowing for a rich gathering of information. In particular, the team will be able to note reactions as squirrels encounter bioengineered foliage samples placed around the city. You may notice our team out and about, distributing ingestibles. If you do, come on over and say hi. we just please ask that you do not disrupt the Acorn files.
Thanks so much. That's all for us. And we just really want to say thank you for the award. We really appreciate it. And also thank our classmates for all the inspiration when we were doing this project, and also our instructors, Zan Chandler and Helen Kerr. Thanks so much.
Yeah, well done. It was a very entertaining but serious conversation about the relationship of the wild to us as the non-wild. And yeah, the humor was fantastic. Well done, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So moving on to the winner of the best group graduate work. And no surprises, it's OCAD again. The group with Keith Burt, Buffy Childerhose, Suzanne Danish, Caitlin Panel Evans, and Eugene Peng. And they very topical and relevant piece of work on the future of democracy. So is the team here to accept their award?
Hello, everyone. Hello, APF. This is Eugene from Toronto. Not all of my teammates can be here today. Buffy, Keith, Suzanne, Caitlin, some of them are traveling at different time zones. But yeah, I'm here to speak for the team, and really excited to receive this award. Okay.
So have you got something to show us about the work, or do you want to talk to it?
We don't have a presentation prepared. I can speak briefly about it, and then I can also share the link to the project dossier we have. So if you like, you can take a closer look at it.
That'd be good.
This came out of a class project, actually, the whole class collaborated on. It was taught by our professors Zan Chandler and Suzanne Stein. Right now, our class is part of it. And we were all consulting for an organization called Democracy Exchange, that is a platform to try and promote democracy in Canada. And we were taking a look at specifically at the futures of civic participation in Canada. And what we did was we took the trends that the whole class discovered, and we looked at two critical uncertainties, which is government trust, whether the government trust whether it will become lower or become higher, and also the social cohesion or social fragmentation in society as the two critical uncertainties. And we create 4 scenarios out of it. And from that, we created artifacts from these features, and finally create some strategies using wind tunnel to make them robust. And we create a strategy playbook with 7 different options for the organization. But it was very much a group effort from all the trends that the whole class did, and guided by our professors.
Yeah, the judges were particular. I mean, the actual report itself. I mean, reports can be fairly, uninteresting documents, but the judges were blown away by how much effort and care and power you actually packed into the report. Do you want to talk about what you tried to do with the report itself?
Yeah, and I'll just paste the report link into the chat. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about the report. Yeah, but we sort of did a lot of analysis from different angles. We did a causal layer analysis. We did a scenario matrix, and we rolled up stories for them, and also we created time machine artifacts that are based on play dolls.
Yeah, I was going to say the dolls were actually a really powerful part of the story. Do you want to talk about what the dolls were and how you used them?
Well, the dolls were all, kind of symbolic of what the heroes and what people look up to. And so we were imagining all these very different futures of democracy. What kind of dolls would Thank you.
Thanks,
what sort of doll?
Daniel.
Yeah, what are the dolls that that represent sort of the ideal archetype, the leaders of these different futures? So we created the self-reliant stable. It's a future where it's not very high trusting big governments. So it's very much like small community oriented. So it's a lot of self-reliance, small community, but not trusting big firms and big government. Yes,
Yeah.
this new yeah. And this is
No,
yeah.
It was very powerful. As I say, it really caught the judge's attention because it was such a clever way to kind of portray a whole lot of things about democracy in terms of the people who are actually, if you like it, they are the demos.
Yeah, it was also really fun for us to try, imagine, and create.
So, well, again, congratulations. It was great work. Obviously a pretty impressive program to, you know, to sweep really the, I mean, I'm going to ask you, and I'll put you on the spot, Eugene. I mean, what is it about OCAD? I mean, you know, they're actually, you know, we get a lot of group work, but, you know, the OCAD, when the judges, of course, don't know it's OCAD when they're actually reviewing it, they're just reviewing the work. But can you kind of, what is it that makes OCAD just producing this remarkable work?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm very grateful for our professors, Zan Chandler, who's on the call, and Suzanne Stein. But also, I think just the cohort. You know, I'm really enjoying the diversity of the different people coming into the cohort. I come from the tech sector. On the team, we have people coming from the public sector, government, from media, from banking, which is, I think, that diversity of perspectives. It was such a good, it made it such a good collaboration.
Great. Well, congratulations to you, and pass it on to all your team as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, APF.
So now we move on to the individual awards for graduate. Third place award this year was Donna DuPont, who also was an OCAD student, and her work on anticipations in emergency management. Donna can't be here tonight, unfortunately, but Donna's a very accomplished futurist working in the emergency space. I'm going to also give a call out that she did a podcast with us on FuturePod, and it's a pretty impressive piece of who she is. But yeah, the work was good. Again, no surprises, she got an award. I'm going to go to the first place because in all the years of doing student awards, we'd never had a tie, but this year we had a tie for the first place individual awards. And the tie was shared by Heather Benoit Camper at University of Houston and her classmate, JT Mudge, at the University of Houston. So they finished up getting the joint first place, first time ever. So again, imagine their work being judged by 3 different judges without knowing anything about them. When they put the numbers together on all the categories, they finished in a complete tie. So Heather and JT online.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here and to certainly receive this award. My project on the future of truth was actually my first real futures project, and it came out of my first class at the University of Houston. So I am totally blown away and very humbled to be here tonight. I haven't prepared anything for this evening. My life's a little scrambled right now with the holidays and moving. But just to briefly talk about what my project was, it was a look at the future of truth, which I think, given all the technological change that's impacting us with misinformation and deep fakes and a number of other things, and also all the social change with the pushback against science and establishments really is kind of under attack right now. So I think without a clear and common understanding of what truth is, we end up in very separate realities, which makes it very difficult to solve our problems as a civilization and a society if we can't even agree on what the problems are. So I think it's a very interesting topic, certainly one that has a lot of weight and is really important to start to resolve. No easy answers in terms of balancing freedom of speech and censorship and a lot of the other issues. But I found it really, really fascinating to work on. It's something I'd love to continue in the future. If anyone's interested in reading about that report, I'll post a link to it in the chat. And otherwise, I'll turn it over to JT, and congratulations, JT.
Thank you so much, Heather. And thank you to everybody, APF. It's really an honor to be here. It's an honor to be even just recognized. Like Heather, this is my first, this project was my first real project in the Foresight program. And it's just an honor to be here with Heather. And I know several other people have mentioned this as well, that the cohorts that we have gone through has just been an amazing support to us, and especially to just finding that community, right, of people that want to make a better future. And I think that's really inspiring, especially sometimes when the world doesn't always seem like that's what's happening. So I think this has just been an incredible group to be a part of, both at the University of Houston and at APF. And I'm really excited to get to know some of our fellow members from around the world, and especially at OCAD. You guys do just amazing work, and I was really honored to be presented in the list of the work that they did as well. And it's just amazing work. So thank you for that. And of course, thank you to Dr. Andy Hines, who has helped lead us and really take this forward. I do have just a couple slides, maybe just for interest. I'm going to keep this pretty brief. So maybe I can share my screen. I'm going to actually hop over to this other screen first. Okay, so I myself, I am a consultant and a storyteller with Foresight Technology and Data Consulting. My company is Product Ops that I work for on a day-to-day basis. And my primary client is the Nature Conservancy. I've been working with the Nature Conservancy for about 2 years, just prior to starting the program at Houston. That's important because just prior to that, I was actually working in smart cities as my main consulting area. But then I went over to work with the Nature Conservancy in fisheries. And I did not know one single thing about fisheries. It's one of the great things about being a consultant and being a futurist when we study new areas, is we get to learn so many amazing things. And I think that's one of the things I really love about this. But really quickly, I learned that there's a lot of problems with sustainability in our fisheries. And it's really important. It's not just a nice thing to get on our plate once in a while. For most of the world, fish is a vital part of the protein source, and it's also a vital part of the economy, especially in the Pacific. Without the economy that comes from fishing, especially for large fish, they wouldn't have the societies that they have today. One of the things that really came out of that was of all the protein that comes out of the ocean, 60% of the world's tuna comes out of the Western and Central Pacific Ocean. So it's a large area, but it's also very important to the ecology and sustainability of the world. Inside of that, only 4,700 of those assessed in 2012, and it's not a whole lot more now, were 32% sustainable. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And one of the things that my work takes me to on a day-to-day basis is try to understand the data behind these fisheries so we can better maintain them, manage them, and move forward. So when I had the opportunity at the University of Houston to do a futures project, I decided to make my life a little bit easier and do something that I was starting to learn about anyways. And so therefore, everything I learned went back into my work, and vice versa. Everything that I could learn through work was going into my futures project. Within that, I created a very large infographic of a summary report of all the research that was done here. And I came up with 4 scenarios using the architect types. And this was really interesting because if we look at the baseline scenario, it's small improvements. So if you were to take a horizon event, look at this, right, you eventually kind of get there to things that are sustainable if we make it there in time. But the real problem with baseline land in sight was that we're just moving too slow, and it's a real problem. And I think it's a real problem in a lot of spaces that we talk about, domains where the large governments are involved, and there's not a lot of market capitalism to help drive it forward. And that's really the issue we saw with land in sight. Then I went through several other of these with a collapse scenario, which unfortunately is possibly where we're actually heading, more of a baseline instead. And then looking at transformation, where we really get this under control and we find ways to manage this and to both continue fishing as well as do it sustainably. And then new equilibrium. Then inside of that, the thing I really thought that was interesting is I decided to do a timeline event, sort of like what would happen underneath, comparing two scenarios, land in sight and smooth sailing, and doing a side-by-side comparison of dates. And as I was playing around with this, I noticed that even in transformation, there is this is fictionalized, of course, but there's very good evidence that we're probably going to see a collapse in some sort of fishery, right? That's just one of those things. Even when we talk about global warming, climate change, we're going to see dramatic effects, even if we're doing everything right, because of where we're at. And so what was interesting here for me, and really has inspired me more in my work, is we're going to have to figure out how to manage with this. So it's not just prevention, it's mitigation. And that's what I listed here as the Eastern Australian Pacific salmon fishery collapses. It's a wake-up call to the world. When I started this, we were early on in the pandemic, and I was really hopeful that, hey, a wake-up call to the world is going to change behavior, and it's going to make a big difference, and we'll be doing this transformation scenario. It's going to be great. Seeing how a large part of the world has reacted to the pandemic, I'm not as optimistic anymore, but I'm still hopeful. So it was a really fantastic project. I really loved working with everybody, and I thank everybody for being here and for supporting Futures.
Thanks, JT. Thanks, Heather. Well done. Congratulations to the Houston program. So now we'll move to the PhD awards. And the PhD awards, and we don't, just so people who are listening, we don't actually ask our examiners to read the PhDs. That would be, we have very generous judges, but they aren't that generous. The award is given for a piece of work drawn from PhD research. So the person is in a PhD program, and we generally are receiving journal articles and that kind of thing based on the work. So the third place in the PhD was achieved by Kimberly Camras at the University of the Sunshine Coast, and her work on regenerative futures, which is a journal article in, as he tries to find out what it's the journal article in. I think it's published in, I'm going to guess I haven't got the cover. It looks like Foresight. I can put the link on there. If someone's got the link, we can put it in there. But it's a paper looking at regeneration, both as it's really a move from not merely sustainable futures, but actually going to regenerative futures. So it's kind of, the step on, the quantum step on from just hanging on to what's here. How do we actually develop and design the next kind of way of actually sustain the future? It's a very well-researched, well-presented article, and I would commend it to people and congratulate her on that report. Well done, Kimberly. Second place was achieved by Liam Mayo, who published a journal article in the Journal of JFS, the Journal of Future Studies out of Tamkang. And this is actually, again, we'll put the link in there. It's actually a very interesting one because he takes this notion you would have heard creeping into the language, the post-normal futures. This is, there's Zia Sada and others, working in that space. And it actually unpacks what actually post-normal is. And the point it's making is that post-normal is not the next sort of you know, isn't the future sort of going on from just where it is, but actually is a rupture. It's a disruption. It's got a fundamentally different epistemic model, philosophy, and everything else. And so it really unpacks using, you know, Foucault's notion of disruption. It really says that, you know, the condition of post-normal is radically different to what we were in before, sort of thing. So if somebody wanted to get their head around what the heck is post-normal futures and how does it go, terrific article to read, and just, you know, to just understand the depth of change that's actually in it. And that came second. And congratulations to Liam. The winner was Russell Clemens, University of Sunshine Coast, and his work on Asian elephant futures. And Russell is with us. Hi, Russell.
Hi, Peter. Thank you. Should I just do a quick presentation, or?
Well, you got, I mean, I think, yeah, just, I mean, you can possibly just talk to it and then just go into the presentation. I think you've got that ready to roll, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll just roll it and see how we go. See if, can you see this? Does that come up on the screen?
They will switch your screen, I'm sure.
We don't see yet, so you may need to restart sharing.
Oh, I have to share my screen probably. That's
yes, you do.
Yes, people. Share screen.
Excellent.
Okay. I'll go full screen mode because then it's a bit easier. How does that look? Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Peter. And look, I'm honoured to have been chosen to present this CLA Bates and Elephant paper. Firstly, I'd like to thank the judging committee for recognising the paper and focusing on the steps towards mitigating elephant extinction risk in the 21st century. And secondly, Dr. Suhail Inayatullah for his guidance and help in the preparation of this paper during the late 2019. I commenced under the excellent direction of Suhail in a workshop at the end of 2018 in Bangkok after a futures conference there. And so that's where the idea germinated, and it went from there. So I'm working out of the University of the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, although I'm domiciled in Perth on the other side of the coast. And my current supervisors are Dr. Marcus Bussey and Dr. Michael McCallum. So I'd like to thank them as well. Firstly, I'll just go quickly through the elephant context, a very short summary of the CLA of it, Gregory Bateson and a bit of background, and then the next steps where it's going with the social ecological systems focus. So the elephants, with the arrow down, the Elephas maximus is the Asian elephant on a branch of the tree where the two other species have already become extinct. The African elephants are slightly different, and the African forest elephants are also somewhat on the endangered list. Most of this is through poaching for illicit, ivory and other products. They're part of a strange family, which include the hyrax, the dugongs, and they have brains about 4 times the size of humans. And science estimates their intelligence at around an 8-year-old human child, which is about the same as the great apes. If anyone's watched or played in the Fortnite game, then it's a sort of battle royale shrinking safe zone. They used to roam from evidence around about Egypt, Delta, Syria, north of China, the northern China area, even in Java. And basically they've shrunk down, their habitats have shrunk down to effectively India, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. There's sort of because of this, there's a lot more human-elephant interaction. And from this, this is wild elephant. And from this, there's a lot more death. So very quickly, when we look at the actual picture, you will see that it's a bit like an Alzheimer's brain. These are really small habitats, and the majority of the elephants are in India. There's about 6,000 left in Sri Lanka, down from about 20,000 100 years ago. Around Thailand, and I've just used Thailand as a focus for those areas. The rest of them are in small herds of 100, 200, 300 scattered all over the place, and that's not really very sustainable. Originally in India, the reserves were, the forest reserves were actually set up by the royalty under royalty decree, because the elephants were used in military use, sort of the tanks of the day. But this, with later invasions using the speed of horses, this kind of became redundant. The puzzle I'm looking at is, what is the gap? And this came from tours around India in the 1980s, where, and more recently in Sri Lanka and in temples, where the elephants they play some part. But I was always confused a little bit how this reality on the ground is somewhat different from the imagined world or the cosmological imagery used. And so that's really what I'm looking at in a broad sense. Taking the total risk approach, which is something that came out of risk communications by a man called Peter Sandman back in the 90s. And it says total risk is really the hazard or the empirical elements of risk plus the outrage, which is the political or media outrage. So it combines the real and the imaginary, or the real and the interpretive. And so that kind of sets the complex domain. So the research question really comes down to, from literature, the poorly documented casework between different disciplines associated with elephant management, if you like. And this research gap tends to be used, this research tends to be using this social ecological systems framework from Eleanor Ostrom, and she won the Nobel Prize for that in economics. But again, it focuses on either people or elephants, and not the relationship between them. And so there's a compelling gap, according to literature, for interdisciplinary research and synthesis, and that's really where I'm diving in. A very quick CLA. This is just straight out of the paper, basically. I won't go through it, but the litany really is just humans and elephants not really having enough room to work to live together. The social systems are all over the place in post-colonial complexities, and often a lot of graft and government. And I've just used that image as an example. In the worldviews, there's lots of different aspects to it, but what I'm focusing on is they're all binary. There's all something versus something else, except perhaps right at the bottom, instead of circles, there's some sort of unified belief or unified worldview system within the Hindu model. Now, down at the myths and metaphor layers, and this is the one that interests me, is the East versus West, where elephant symbolism and metaphors in the Western world tend to have a negative or at least ambivalent aspect. And in the East of that line, I should have shown you a line that runs through Iran today, the Zoroastrian demonology line. To the east of that is India, and of course they're a good symbol there. So you've got the elephant on India's national flag or national emblems, and then within the American context, just to pick one out of the packet, you've got an elephant representing a political party, and of course that's a 50-50 divide from what I can understand. So I'm looking at the meta level of how do you resolve these issues, and I've used that Six Blind Men Indian folklore fable. So Gregory Bateson, the reason he came in is I have some background in that systems and cybernetic area, but I wanted to get into ecological metaphors. And so Gregory Bateson's got a great history from there. He came up with the themes of patterns that connect and ecologies of mind. His idea of framing is quite useful, and he came out with the original double bind, he and a couple of others. double-bind theory, which of course is being used by many people, but he's got a particular nuance to it, which is quite useful to go into. The CLA, of course, is a tridimensional method, and I've just quoted there quickly. They both go right back into the post-Second World War era, and Bateson and some of the French philosophers in structuralism were actually in the same university area in New York, I believe. So very quickly, I just wanted to deepen the CLA with Bateson, and CLA is deepening everything else. So I found some quite useful links between Sahale's work and Bateson's work, which I put in the paper as aligning levels and learning levels and layers. And this goes back through Bertrand Russell and others to C.S. Peirce, who works on abduction, which is the third aspect of Aristotle's inference methodology to make a full broad science. And just to put in there John Locke in the sort of 17th century, this third aspect has always been under attack, if you like, I'll put that in quotes, but there's certainly been prejudiced against as being crude and superficial during the rationalism of the Enlightenment. So really it's recovering that, and I saw Sahale's or the six-pillar approach as being a continuation of that chain that goes right back to Aristotle. And that's basically how I saw the value in it. The double bind, I won't go into it, but effectively this seems to be the main problem. And in a sense, we're in the double bind with this pandemic as well. It's not just that there's some dissonance between different options, but there's no actual escape from it. And that's what creates the problem. So just almost finishing, the next step is a similar approach, but diving into trying to look at the social systems layer in CLA, given that the first paper did a lot in the metaphor area. And I'm using Eleanor Ostrom's for that. It provides a kind of Rosetta Stone to link across between these different resource units areas. And it's very well accepted and used within science in conservation and forestry and other areas, fisheries even too. But it lacks a critical dimension. It doesn't have the nature of human subjectivity in there. And as I mentioned with the outrage formula, or in the total risk formula, that is a reality and a necessary ingredient. So I'm taking Richard Slaughter's technical, practical, and emancipatory approach. And of course, the emancipatory approach is the elephants themselves, but really that's just the front of the whole exercise, because it's the relationship between humans and nature that's really the focus. So very quickly, I'll finish up here. Questions, I guess there's a Zoom room thing, but the paper's been selected for inclusion in the CLA 3.0 book that's coming out next year. I won't try and read that, but I'll refer you to John Sweeney, who has provided that quick briefing there. So unless there's any questions, I think that's basically the show.
Thanks, Russell. Can you put the link to the World Futures Review article in the chat as well for people? But yeah.
I can do, yes. It was published in the World Futures Review Journal, that's right.
Yeah, in 2020, yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks, mate. Well done. Congratulations.
I do. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Student Awards team, we're finished. Thanks very much. Thanks to Tanya and Sherman for organising this. And thanks to everyone else for supporting us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody. I think it's just impressive, fantastic to see the results of your work. And thank you, Peter, for heading this judging team. And we're going now, we're just starting. So we're going now to do something a little different. So I'll give the word to our own Rebecca Ryan.
Oh, thank you, Mauricio. Is he not lighting it up with this black tie situation tonight? Ooh, ooh. One of our newest board members, we're so happy to have him aboard at the APF Board of Directors. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us. So here's what's going to happen next. Some of you have been participating in this new thing that we've been doing this year called Member Roulette. And what we do is very much like if we were at the Oscars or if we were at a cocktail party, you would be having a small little interlude maybe during intermission, and you'd be running into people as you're running to the restroom or refilling your coffee cup or your tea cup or your champagne glass, as it were. So what we've done is we've managed to put all of our winners into a breakout room. So in just a moment, you will be invited to go into a breakout room with one of our student winners. And this is an opportunity for us to fawn all over them, for us to welcome our next generation of futurists. And in the chat, I've just added some little instructions here. So the focus of our breakout rooms is on our student winners tonight, right? This is only 10 minutes, but students, if you would, when you go into the breakout room, take the floor first and just remind people what your project was, especially for those who made their presentations earlier at the top of the awards show. Then futurists, what questions do you have for these students? What things weren't they able to answer, or what was interesting about their work? And then finally, we are here for each other. So students, we want to know what you're working on next. And we in the professional foresight community want to be helpful to you. So please help each other, exchange emails with each other. We are only as strong as our connections with each other. So whenever our behind the scenes amazing technical team is ready, we're going to release you to your breakout rooms. Please note the instructions, and we'll be back here in 10 minutes. Please open the breakout rooms.
Just saying, otherwise we need music, we need to start singing. I heard we need to have a karaoke session with Sherman at some point. Little Bird tweeted to me that Sherman is really good at karaoke singing.
Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd want to hear that.
In the afternoon.
Folks are joining their rooms now, it looks like.
Yes.
Do we know which student group are in which room?
Someone does, but I do not know.
Was it Alexis who did the Future of Truth?
It was Heather Benoit who did the Future of Truth.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Thank you. So how do I, there we go.
Yeah, it might be if people are not on their latest Zoom, then they cannot choose their room. So we might need to allocate people just to random rooms at some point.
Thank
So
you
I
very
think, yeah. So I don't know how I'm into another room.
Oh, you are in the main room now, Lourdes.
Oh, I'm in the main room now. Oh, because
No
I was.
problem.
May I
Welcome
continue?
back.
Yeah. So it's the present and the future of futures thinking and foresight. So I'm thinking of how it can be interconnected with the past in terms of the professionals in strategic management and strategic planning using the tools in the past, like maybe it's just new, some are new names, but the content reflects some of the things, the tools that have been used in the past. I would like to cite perhaps force field analysis, SWOT analysis, and some other things. And now in futures thinking, we use such terms as backcasting and the PESEL tool, where we also used to in the past. So this is one way of becoming intergenerational in terms of the professionalization of many people in different disciplines for foresight and futures thinking. I don't know if I'm that coherent, but that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Lourdes. We're going back now to the program that we have. Thank you very much for your remarks. So now we are going to continue with our program. How was it? I hope you had some fun and you had the chance to chat with our awardees for the student recognition program. But now we are going to our second block of awardees, and now we are going to talk about the awards for the Emerging Fellows in the Emerging Fellows program. And for this, we're going to first listen to Patricia Lustig. She's the APF board member in charge of this program, the Emerging Fellows. And she wasn't able, unfortunately, to be with us tonight. But anyway, we're going to listen to her right now. So please, let's listen to Patricia Lustig right now.
So Patricia, can you tell us what is the Emerging Fellows program?
The Emerging Fellows fellowships are awarded to some of the most promising new futurists in order to give them a platform to create and develop their voice and to illustrate current future issues and develop their networks and kind of give them a really good basis and foundation as futurists going forward.
I see. And who is the Emerging Fellows program for?
It's for young in the sense of how long they've been futurists. It's not about age. It'll be people who have graduated or who have been working for several years and have maybe just started on their foresight and futuring journey and want to learn more.
Who would you recommend to apply for this program?
Well, they have to be willing to put in a bit of work because we work on writing, we work on learning more, we work on developing networks, we work on developing skills and tool set, and it is a 3-year program. But if you're somebody who wants support and wants to be part of a great network, then it's probably a good idea to apply.
Patricia, you mentioned that the Emerging Fellows program lasts for 3 years. Maybe you could share with us, what do the fellows do each year of the program?
Okay, the current program, which is indeed 3 years, was developed by the 2021 fellows. This is the program that they wanted. So it doesn't just focus on writing. It focuses on also developing skill sets, mentoring, getting mentored, and developing content knowledge, so learning more about foresight. There is a meeting every month, part of which is on the developing foresight, part of which is developing your voice as a writer, working together, giving each other feedback on their writing. And during that first year, they're expected to research an area that interests them and write 6 articles or blogs, either for APF outlets, as it were, or others and we'll help them find others if they wish. The second year, they have 3 articles to write and a chapter pulling all the research they've done over the last 18 months for a book that we as APF will publish. And they each write their own chapter, and together they write the introduction and the conclusion. So they learn how to write together as a group and how you tie it all together. And then we publish that in their second year. And they will also then start mentoring the people from the first year, from the next cohort. And in the third year, they really are taking it over so that the program becomes sustainable. And we start to build a great network of fellows who can help each other and are available to help things in the APF. And that is part of what's happening for them during the program as well.
Well, that was an amazing idea that the 2021 fellows had. Can you tell us who these fellows are before we get to hear from them in a bit?
Okay, we have 3 fellows from 2021. We have Sheila Castillo, who's from the Philippines, Ana Kyoyoya from Kenya, and Chris Meyer from the USA.
And we also have the newest batch of the fellows for the program, the 2022 Emerging Fellows. Could you please tell us who they are?
Okay, we have 6 of those, and they come from all over the world, and that's really, really wonderful. We have Nok Bunavichit from Thailand, Raquel Valenza from Brazil, Asma Zainal from UAE, Seth Harrell from the USA, Ashish Manwar from India, and Stephen Lichty from Kenya.
That's a very, very global and diverse set of fellows that we have. Maybe, Trisha, you can tell the hopefuls in the audience or people who are interested in applying for this program the following year, how did you choose these fellows, and how can they maybe increase their chances of being selected?
Well, it's important to note that the fellows range in age from possibly late 20s, early 30s, all the way into the 50s. So it's not an age thing. They were chosen by the fellows, the 2021 fellows, and I getting together and discussing the candidates. There were 22 candidates. It was really difficult. And they were judged on the way they answered the questions that we asked. So we asked, for instance, a question about how life is different after COVID to see their writing style. We asked what they wanted from the program, what their preferred areas of research were, and a few other questions. So you start to get a feel for the person, and that's how we made the decision. And it was pretty nearly unanimous. I don't think there was anyone that we didn't agree on. It was just very difficult to choose only 6.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for sharing with us all about the Emerging Fellows program. And we look forward to what the fellows have in store for the coming year.
You're most welcome.
So that was our APF board member, Patricia Lustig. And that was as well Nicole Pareño. She's the secretary to the chair. And I think it's also a good moment to say thank you, Nicole, for all your hard work for this event and for all the team. Thank you very much to all of you guys. And as Patricia said, we have here now our awardees for the Emerging Fellows program. And we will first start with our Emerging Fellows Program awardees for 2021. And first, I want to introduce you, Chris Meyer. So please, Chris, I know you are around. We have Chris Meyer, Sheila Castillo, and Ana Kyoya. So Chris, please go ahead. Welcome and congratulations. You're mute, Chris. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't unmute myself. Thanks.
No problem.
So hi, everyone. I'm Chris Mayer. I'm one of the 2021 Emerging Fellows. In this program, I've looked at and written about a variety of topics. So I'll give you a quick rundown of what I've done and some of the other things as well. So I began with exploring a substantial breakdown of social trust and what that would be and what it would be like and what it would mean in terms of impacts over the next decade. And then also looked at how that breakdown in social trust would interact in the future with a significant biodiversity loss. And then from there, we published some blogs on the APF site, Emerging Fellow site. From there, I teach philosophy. So I moved into thinking about how kind of what you learned in an undergraduate philosophy course could enrich foresight practice. So I looked at the competency model, specifically the technical competencies. And I talked about how what you learn about ethical beliefs and the importance of ethics could inform the scanning technical competency and really prioritizing steeple with the ethics component rather than steep. And then also in terms of futuring with the scenarios, how you could use things like the fallacies that you learn in an undergrad philosophy course, like false dilemmas, easy generalizations, and faulty analogies as ways to improve your scenarios. And finally, envisioning how different ethical approaches can help pick preferred futures. Then I wrote about the ethical case for foresight and what ethically we owe future generations and why we have an ethical obligation to practice foresight. And I viewed that from 4 ethical perspectives, a perspective called painism, ethics of care, John Rawls, and then Aristotle. And recently I've been looking at kind of the future of higher education and the idea of empowering students to thrive in a variety of futures and how colleges and universities might do this. And, what else we're doing in the program is we're reading Trisha's book, Strategic Foresight, Learning from the Future. So each month when we meet, we talk about our projects, but then we also talk about her book. And it's great to have the author there to answer questions, facilitate our conversation. And so we've learned a lot from her and from each other. And also we've, with other fellows, we've worked on presentations at the Global Foresight Summit. So it's been a great program and I recommend it for others for next year to do it. And if I could answer any questions for anyone who's considering doing it, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Chris, and congratulations again. We also have here Ann Kyoya. Thank you as well, Ann. Welcome, and please just tell us about your work.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my name is Anne, and I'm one of the emerging fellows in the group. I come from Kenya. My background is in strategic foresight, actually in doctoral program. But I joined this program deliberately just to expand my capacity in especially understanding tools, foresight tools, and how to be a better practitioner. It's not just enough to do the academics. So I joined the Emerging Fellows program. And if you allow me, I'll just make a quick projection here on some of the, I guess you can see if you can see my.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so let me just walk you through this very briefly. So, and I think Patricia already said basically what this program is all about. So of course we get involved, we meet monthly and we get involved in discussions. We read her book, which has been very instrumental. And we picked diverse tools there, which we have been able to use. But one of the things that I really must say I gained from this, although I am a trained writer in my doctoral level, was how to write impact through future-oriented articles. And to me, that was very important, to be able to see what is in the past and be able to, study the scenario and bring out using different tools and paint the picture as a futurist. And I think to me that is very instrumental to bring out that advocacy voice and educative voice at the same time. And just like Chris have written several articles, I began with solar flare, and a topic I'd never thought about, and began to explore from both scientific and all aspects of research and how things would play out, what it is, what it is important, and how it would look like if it, there was a conflict between, or if solar flare happened to in different contexts. And then I moved on to write about culture, the future of culture. And under the future of culture, I focused on a number of things, particularly in the urban context. And I began to look at how will the urban slangs or the languages coming out, how are they going to pan out in the future? It was very interesting, particularly looking at my context in Africa, African cities. And then I wrote about food and culture, food culture and climate change. Again, that's a different type of culture, particularly focusing on beef. And then I looked at the future of the informal sector and how it's going to contribute to the economy of African economies in African cities. And when I talk of culture here, I'm talking of the things that we see, the artifacts. I'm talking about the values and beliefs. I'm talking about the underlying belief systems. So mainly when I explore different aspects of the future of culture in these scenarios, I then look at those dynamics. It could be an artifact, like for example, language here is an artifact. So what we can see, what we can feel. The food value culture, these are belief system. And then I went further to write also about what makes a futurist a professional for the Compass journal. And so basically, I am very excited about the opportunity to sharpen my skills as an author and as a writer. And that's not just all. I've also been doing my own stuff because I'm a consultant in leadership and foresight. And so I did several things. I have had an opportunity to influence very senior security and intelligence leaders and personnel in our government, especially training about foresight and also how to use foresight in strategy development. One of the most exciting things that I did was how I used foresight tools to develop a strategy that actually built a school during COVID. When other schools were closing, that school did not close because we were able to map out the 10 most impactful trends that were going to impact the education sector. And that one we did slightly earlier in just before 2019. And I was able to see how that played out in 2020 and even now. And many other projects, as you can see there. I do a lot of organizational culture audit and then foresight and in environmental scanning. And recently, just a few months ago, I began again. I'm passionate about influencing the government using the foresight. I was able to develop, to help one of the leaders to develop a manifesto for 2023-2027. And I wanted to bring out the foresight perspective. So basically, those are my projects. As Tricia said earlier, this is a 3-year project. So I'm looking forward to my next year to write more articles and also write a chapter for a book for the 3 of us, but also continue with these very impactful projects in my context, both regionally and also in my country. And of course, then the 3rd year, I'll continue with mentoring others. I'm also looking forward to passing these skills to others. And let me just make this call as I end. This Emerging Fellow Program is not just so people who have not gone to the level that, doctoral program or PhD. I want to encourage anybody who feels that they need to be given more knowledge, support, mentorship. There are guys here who are very knowledgeable on how to, contextualize all the academic knowledge we have learned back to practitioner. It's not enough just to have a lot of knowledge from the books. It's important to be able to translate what we know in literature to the society. Otherwise, then we will just be futurists by speech. So thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to mentoring other people in the next years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you very much, and congratulations again for this award. And also we have Sheila Castillo. She couldn't be with us today, but I'm gonna read something she sent. So Sheila is a social development professional foresight practitioner, and climate advocate with 20 years of experience in the Philippines and Cambodia. She's an associate of United Edge, a justice-based social enterprise. She's one of the co-founders of the Philippine Futures Thinking Society, PhilFutures. Sheila is a passionate environmentalist and animal rights activist. In 2017, she was awarded the Climate Reality Luntiang Dahon Greenleaf Award for climate leadership. She was also a fellow of the inaugural cohort of Sky Blue Environmental Leadership Program of Common Purpose from November 2020 to March 2021. As an emerging fellow of the Association of Professional Futurists from 2021, Sheila is working on the futures of justice. You can follow her work at the APF blog. She also has an eponymous blog on Medium, where she writes about issues using foresight as tools and justice as lens. So that's the bio for Sheila Castillo, also an emerging fellow awardee 2021. So congratulations to our awardees and an applause again for you. And now we are announcing our 2022 Emerging Fellows awardees. So we have here Nok Unmavichit, we have Raquel Valenza, Asma Sainal, Seth Harrell, Stephen Lichty, and Ashish Mangwar. Congratulations to you all, guys. And first of all, we're going to start with Nok. So please, congratulations again, and tell us about your work.
Thank you, Mauricio. Again, my name is Nopun Mavisit. I'm currently a PhD student at the School of Public Policy in Chiang Mai University. And my research started with foresight epistemologies. And then I moved on to work on how to apply critical realism as an alternative methodology into tackling air pollution problem in Thailand. And through that, I found that social change as for the air pollution problem is not just to change the structural, but also the perception of our citizen as an activist to fight this kind of problem has to voice their own opinion. And so the third, so my next step is to be exploring on the foresight, internal communication, and social change. And I'm so honored to be part of this Emerging Fellow program, and it's such a great opportunity to exchange ideas and make connection with among the researchers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nok. And again, congratulations for your award. Now we're gonna listen Raquel Valenza from Brazil, right?
Right. Hello.
So go ahead, Raquel. Obrigado.
Obrigada. Nice to meet you. My name is Raquel and I am from Brazil. I live in Curitiba, a capital in southern Brazil. I have been working for 15 years in future studies. I have two careers connected with future studies in Brazil. The first one I developed in the industrial sector, and the second in the creative sector. I am researcher coordinator at the FIEP System Observatory, a department of Federation of Industries in Brazil. There I work with long-term planning, foresight, and analytical intelligence. In the creative sector, I work with art and technology. I am writing a book on Culture 4.0. Visual and transmedia futures is the topic that I want to study as emerging fellow. I want to answer some questions in my investigations. The first point is how can we produce transmedia future studies? The second point is how can we design future studies that are visually adequate and attractive to society? The third point is how to improve the performance of futurists to work with transmedia and develop visually adequate products. I think that visual and media literacy is one of keys to democratization of future studies. For me, a picture speaks more than 1,000 words. A framework organized in a drawing can be more resolute than a thesis. Research designed for different media reach thousands of people. Certainly, the world will be more visual and transmedia in the coming years. We need to lead this discussion in this association. I wish to connect with you to produce knowledge and build point opportunities. I am open to cooperation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you very much. And congratulations again. Now, please, we're going to introduce Seth Harrell. Thank you very much for being here, Seth. And please just let us know about your work.
Sure, thank you. It's an honor to be selected for the Emerging Fellows Program, and I can't wait to work and get to know my cohort better. I am a relatively recent graduate of the University of Houston program. I live in Missouri, right in the middle of the United States. I've been working on some freelance projects. I've been doing a lot of work, research in the future of food technologies. In the past, I've worked on projects like the future of pipelines. And for some of my student research, I worked on the future of Alzheimer's disease and the future of live sports. So I've had quite a wide variety of topics, but again, that's what's so great about studying the future. I am a musician as well, and one of my last careers that I'm taking a break from was playing John Lennon in an internationally touring Beatles tribute band. But I constantly think about the future. Even when I was a kid in high school, I remember sitting in class, in history class, wondering why there wasn't also a class about the future. It seemed just as relevant, if not more. For the Emerging Fellows Program, one of my ideas that I'd like to try writing about is kind of what I'm calling funny futures. Where I want to explore the idea of absurdity and apply it to people's notions of what is plausible, and try to find that line between plausibility and absurdity when presenting scenarios. Because I think if we can understand that better, we can more effectively communicate and expand people's thinking. And I've got lots of other ideas, but I think that's the first one I'll start with. And that kind of was spurred on by a research that I nominated last year for an award for the APF on how to judge plausibility. And also, I believe it was Jim Dater's quote, I believe, about any useful work about the future is going to seem absurd at first, something along those lines, but that's kind of what inspired me. And I can't wait to meet everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Seth. And very interesting that you are also a musician. So thank you very much for your presentation. And now, last but not least, we have Ashish Mangwar doing his presentation. So welcome, Ashish. Congratulations. And please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mauricio. And hello, everyone. My name is Ashish Manwar, and I'm based just outside of New Delhi in India. And I'm a bit overwhelmed just hearing all of you speak, partly because I feel I stumbled into the fellowship. And the other part of it is it seems so incredible that many of you are able to talk about a specific domain or a topic, because in my mind, I find it very difficult to create a distinguishing feature between one topic and another in terms of future concepts. And the reason I say that is I'm interested in the futures of governance, leadership development, strategic behavior change. My work fundamentally is in the innovation and investing space. And it all translates really into creating the futures of hope. Given that there's been such a huge amount of ambient exhaustion and anxiety and agony over the last few years, I'm trying to find a way of picking a specific series of topics to think and research more. And the context for that really is my work in corporate consulting and design. I'm an aviation engineer by profession, with having done strategic consulting for my in terms of my education and graduate studies. Over time, what I've realized is having taken some time off from work, starting to work with the poor, getting involved with justice systems, local governance, enterprise systems, impact investing, I've had sort of the opportunity to see things from the bird's eye view and the worm's eye view. And that's part of the reason I feel that there's been a sense of exhaustion trying to see so many things change. And part of what I realized after the COVID situation is that working with others in the course of my coaching leaders and individuals is working with other people's agony and pain, whether it's at the retail level or institutional level, is that I think it's useful to take that as courage to come back. And that's my serendipitous opportunity to now be part of the Emerging Fellows community, to pick up on courage and come back and find ways of contributing. So at the moment, I get to have the opportunity to work with India's public health systems, really to see how foresight might work in taking innovation to make public health accessible at a quality, at a high quality across the country. So we're running innovation challenges and so on, but trying to find ways of doing that more effectively. And I'm grateful that I have opportunities to connect with you all. Hopefully we'll have more ways to connect and collaborate. But thank you again.
Thank you, Ashish. And we are grateful with you all. And we actually have 2 more emerging fellows for 2022. They couldn't be with us right now, but one of them is Asma Sainal. She holds a master's degree in sciences of innovation and change management, along with varied professional certifications and diplomas in the fields of strategy, leadership, innovation, and future foresight. Currently, she is pursuing her PhD in business administration. Her growing passion towards future foresight and advanced technologies directed her to build her own page on social media in Arabic and increase awareness about the future, illustrate forthcoming trends, and highlight global futurists. Since 2020, Asma published more than 6 articles in various journals in topics related to innovation, agility, and advanced technologies. She's a co-author of 2 books that were published on leadership and organizational excellence. She will focus on topics related to enhancing future awareness, along with building the right mindset to ensure future readiness. So Asma, congratulations as well. And we also have Steve Lichty. Stephen Lichty, he couldn't be with us right now, but he has over 25 years of experience in international development, research, evaluation, consulting, strategic foresight, and humanitarian response in Africa, Europe, Latin America, Asia, and the Americas. He has doctoral studies in African studies, anthropology, and political theory, graduate studies in future studies, international relations, development, and international business. He's co-founder and managing partner of Real Consulting Group, social architect and founder of the Frontline Group, founder and director of Real Studio, and he has global experience in over 70 countries. So again, to all our awardees from the Emerging Fellows Program 2001 and 2022, congratulations to you all, and thank you for your magnificent work, and an applause to you all again from the distance. Thank you very, very much. So Now, we are going to do again something to have a little chat with our awardees. So again, we go to Rebecca Ryan. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mauricio. So, you know, when you're at the Oscars and it's like, you know, there's the build up to the Best Picture Award. We have been building up because after this break, we are coming back for the most significant Futures Award winners, which is, you know, the highest honor that APF bestows every year. But we've got some emerging fellows to meet. I have been gobsmacked by the level of the breadth of experience, the commitment to making their worlds better. So the focus for our next short breakout round, so use the restroom, yes, refill your glass, yes, but we're going to be focusing on our emerging fellows. So fellows, I just put the instructions in the chat. If you would please just remind people what your primary interests are. It was a lot to remember. Not everybody took notes like this nerd over here. So, and then futurists, what can you offer that might help? Maybe it's a connection, maybe it's a network connection, maybe it's a, you know, a link, maybe it's time with you as a mentor. And we encourage you again to share your information because our fabric, our strength of helping each other is what helps keep this network strong. Okay, so when we come back, Most Significant Futures Award, we'll see you in a few minutes. Open those breakout rooms. This is the real-time play-by-play. Each of the emerging fellows is being added to a breakout room right now. And then you will either have the opportunity as an attendee to join a breakout room, or you will be moved to a breakout room.
breakout room.
So, welcome again, everybody. I think we're slowly starting to coming back here to the main room. Thank you very much for being with us. And again, I know for some of you it's very late at night. For some of you it's very early in the morning. For some of you, it's whatever time you are right now having. We are very glad that you are having that time with us. So thank you very much for being with us at this very moment. And I hope you enjoyed your time with our Emerging Fellows awardees. And hopefully you had some time to interchange some social media or maybe contact data. And now we are going to our next block. Also a very important one. And now we are going to recognize our most significant Futures Works awards. And so for this, we have the most significant Futures Works team, and the chair of this team is Andy Hines. We also have Tim Balco, Lauren Bonteau, Jim Bro, Jason Crabtree, David Hammond, Robin Jordan, David Callis, Jan Klakurka, Jim Lee, Chris Meyer, Emma McBride, Guillermina Baena, Daniel Pesut, Mónica Porteano, Gabriel Rizzo, Laura Schnober, Johan Schutt, Sarah Skidmore, and Doris Biljoin. Thank you very much for all the team, and for announcing the winners, we have here Andy Hines. Welcome, Andy. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thanks for having me. Let me just kick off with a couple of remarks about the program itself. I'll share a couple slides. It's only going to take a couple minutes, but I think it's good to just make sure we know what exactly are we doing here with this program. So without further ado, we have three purposes. We want to promote the field to clients and the general public. We started back in 2007. So we've been running strong for about 14, 15 years now. We also want to recognize the work of professional futurists and others who write about the future. And I counted, we've recognized 44 winning teams. Now there may be more individuals, but 44 winning teams over the years. And let me say one thing. I think people like to get prizes. This is a winning thing, right? Giving people prizes to recognize their work, it's just a win, right? And of course, we want to promote APF. We just went through thanks for going through the judges for us. That's great. And I'll just mention our core committee, myself, Jennifer, Robin, and Sam. We've been together for several years now. There's basically three different criteria that categories we use. First is the methodology one, practice and methodology. The second is looking at a futures issue, the future of something. And then third is kind of the grab all for the creative designy stuff. And we usually look back, recently we've been looking back in the last 2 years or so. And below you can see we've got basically 5 criteria, and we have standards underneath each of those, but I think it's enough just to get the idea of how the judges are asked to do that. And it's just so awesome that we were able to recruit 19 judges. I mean, it's amazing, right? So that said, we've got some winners, and I did want to note that we had 15 nominations this year, so we needed those 19 judges, because we like to go through and have at least 2 people review every piece. We do also, you see at the bottom, we do give a prize of a 1-year membership in the APF, so that's a really nice thing as well. And I think we have some good news. I think my colleague here from the program is going to introduce our first winner, because I don't think we have anyone physically present from the first team. Is that correct? I believe we have a video, right?
Yes, I think I saw a note that Adam Gordon sent a video.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had a problem with my mic. Yes, we have a video from Adam Victor. Adam Victor Gordon. Adam Gordon is a faculty in strategic foresight at Aarhus University in Denmark. His academic area is foresight methods and their relationships with strategy, innovation, and leadership decision-making. Adam has lectured at over a dozen universities, including INSEAD, Aalto, and Monash, and designed and taught master executive and in-company futures and foresight programs at 12 institutions over 20 years. He has been a director of faculty and executive education departments and managed university external partnerships and advised many companies and government departments. Adam is editor of the IEEE Journal Special Edition on Strategic Foresight, and editorial board member of Futures and Foresight Science. He's a graduate of the University of Houston at the Master in Strategic Foresight, INSEAD, its MBA, and the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business, its PhD. So here we go.
Hello, APF members. Good to be with you. I'm Adam Gordon. It's going to be past midnight my time by the time you get there. And today is the day I get my third jab. So I'm sure to be away with the fairies. So apologies for being here only in video, but really, really happy and honored to be recognized along with my colleagues René Robeck and Jan Oliver Schwartz in this. And I think the thing about recognition is really not having, but what you do next with it, what it enables. So let me just say that if there are people out there who are interested in this intersection between design thinking and strategic foresight and want to go further with it in terms of practical application or research applications, please be in touch and let's move forward. So the paper, faster horses, the faster horses problem in design thinking. We attacked it from that point of view. This is where we felt there's a vulnerability in design thinking. Good method as it is and well established now, and there's no question. And in a sense, it's been built into the foresight field, I think, fairly successfully. But in terms of what design thinkers do, we felt there was a gap there, and the gap expressed by this, I think, apocryphal Henry Ford quotes where they was asked whether he does client customer focus groups in building automobiles, and he poo-pooed that. He said basically if I had asked them what they wanted, they would have said, we want faster horses. Therein being the problem that your customers, your clients, your users are not necessarily going to take you to they're not going to let you see the leap or the disruption, the gap between what exists today and what potentially can exist tomorrow, not being, as it were, just a straight line elaboration. So design thinking then looking as it does, particularly in its initial phases, in terms of observing the clients, observing the customer, empathizing, noticing their pain points, noticing their preferences. That's all well and good, but it assumes a continuity in the underlying environment, and that continuity, I don't think, as we would all know, can't be assumed. So to this, we bring essentially the strategic foresight processes, and in two ways. One being the 6-step framework of Hines and Bishop. So we're standing on shoulders of giants here. This is also the APF framework, and also the 3 Ps framework of René Robeck, also well established in the field, and I think in itself independently a recipient of an APF acknowledgement, APF award. So we bring these two well-established foresight frameworks to bear on the design thinking process, particularly in its initial phases, and we go, okay, so this is how you marry them together, and particularly using the idea of probing, Rene's idea of probing, and we build a framework where, in fact, you can augment design thinking in this using the tools of strategic foresight, and it's there for you to see and read. And I really appreciate any time that you do spend on it. I suppose one more thing while I'm here, and I have a sort of one or two things to say and share with you all in this time, in this few minutes. And we look at it's the end of year for APF, and we look at sort of what we value and what we're doing. Let me say this: I think there's a lot of important things to say. Obviously, are in terms on the content side, in terms of the future and the kinds of things we aspire to, and the kinds of things we want the future to be in terms of sustainable and egalitarian and in all kinds of ways, and that's fine and that's good. And I do think we should obviously be on the side of the angels here and support that. But fundamentally, or at least let's not forget that in a sense, the sort of the real contribution of the professional futurist or the academic, or like me, pre-academic futurist, is to be in command of the methods, so that when people are discussing ideas or debating, or they're in the culture wars, or these ideas are being thrown around, we can say, oh, in fact, there is this method about thinking about the future, or understanding the relationship between cause and effect, or understanding fully what a scenario can do for you, or why a Delphi analysis matters, or how horizon scanning actually helps this process. Where this is where we can, as it were, this is our ninja skill, or our comparative ninja skill, is to bring these methods to bear, to understand them, where they apply, how they apply, and to apply them more so than to, as it were, get involved in the sort of the discussion about ideas. So I share that thought with you as a sort of perspective from a now veteran APF. So thank you for the recognition. Thank you to the APF for being there and doing what it does. Congratulations to the other award winners, and appreciate your time, and hope to be in touch one way or another with. Hello.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and introduce our second winners. And Adam reminded me of something, like one of the key benefits of the program. I get asked a lot, what does good futures work look like? And now we can just send a link to our page, and we have 44. We have 44 historical examples of what good futures work looks like. I mean, that's an amazing library. And I remember when we started that was what we were hoping for someday, right? So anyway, we got more work to do on that, but we're definitely off to a good start. So our second winning team, also in the methods in practice category, was Our Futures by the People for the People. Well, of course, that had to win, right? And we have Jose Ramos and John Sweeney here with us tonight, and their colleagues Katie Peach and Laurie Smith are here in spirit. So I'll turn it over to Jose and John.
Great, thanks so much, Andy. It's great to see you and to be with everyone here at the APF meeting. Am I coming through okay? Can you hear me? So, yeah, I'm in a cafe. So look, first of all, it's just so great to see the future studies field evolve and mature. And I think the APF has been a critical part of that. So really congratulations to all the people in the APF that have done that work to make that happen. I think it's so important to have friends. We're a professional group of people, but friends make it possible. And I think the friendship and the connections keep us going and allow us to support each other, even when things get a little rough, or when we're trying to find our way through. So I just want to emphasize that. So you know, I really want to say thank you. It's lovely, and I want to accept this award on behalf of many other people who made this possible. So first of all, Nesta is really a powerful leader in the world in innovation. They work on areas like collective intelligence, digital democracy. Very disciplined, very amazing group of people. And it was really wonderful to work with Kathy Peach and Lori Smith. They taught us a lot, both about the process and the discipline in developing a report like this, but also their vision. They have a very strong, powerful vision for social change. And I think that really comes through in the report. And I really was led by them in so many different ways. The other person I think needs to be, you know, it was just amazing to work with John Sweeney, a really brilliant practitioner and someone with an incredible passion for the field, incredible knowledge, but also just a hardcore innovator in the field. He's developed serious gaming processes with clients all over the world. And so just working with him was such a treat and so amazing. It's such a learning journey. And also there was the Global Swarm. So it was a team that really came together to do the research. We discovered over 200 examples of participatory futures around the world because we really wanted to scan and see what was out there. And we had a team from all over the place that included Pupil Bisht, that included Dr. Aaron Rosa, that included Dr. Anissa Abdullah, that included Daniel Rivion, that included Donna DuPont, that included Jacques Barcia, that included Gareth Friday. So, you know, there was a whole team there that really made that report possible. And I think just to kind of cap that off, some people say the key to success is to hang out with people who are smarter than you. And I think in the case of this work, that was definitely the case for me. The other bit is that over the last 2 years, there's been we've basically done a little bit of work to make this more of a community. So we've got this thing called the Participatory Futures Global Swarm. We've got, several hundred people in the network now. We run events and stuff. And that's been really lovely. And we actually want to create a co-op from that community. So that's really exciting to be in that aspect. I think the only other thing that I'll say is it was very easy to be inspired by all the examples around the world. Some of them, many of them, are actually not in formally future studies. So it was great to kind of expand that circle and to learn from all these inspiring examples. There's a lot of things that we can say about participatory futures. I don't really think I need to go into that because there's the report and it kind of says it itself. I really think I need to hand over to you, John. So over to you.
Thanks so much, Jose. Well, I'll say probably the only thing that Jose didn't cover is that as the first author of the report, he was fundamentally the foundation for being able to deliver the research and the insights, of course, that were produced by many hands. So I absolutely want to commend his effort, and also want to note that Jose really brought, his 20 years of experience. So a lot of the frameworks in the report, a lot of the thinking that went into the development of a game, which is based on the report, also drew heavily on, of course, his work and, of course, his leadership throughout the project. If you're not familiar with the report, I suggest, of course, there are different ways to approach and dive in. There are lots of case studies, as Jose had mentioned. There are a number of different frameworks for how to think about constructing, designing, crafting participatory futures engagements. There's actually a bit of a stab at an evaluation framework relative to participatory futures. And then we actually ended up building, as Jose mentioned, a game. And we've run different gaming sessions on different thematic issues. We've been running them pretty consistently with the United Nations Development Program. And we really see it as an opportunity to socialize futures from the perspective of how might we engage others in thinking about futures processes and doing futures in ways, of course, beyond workshops and ways that use non-traditional means or different modes and means of participation. So I think what I'm most excited about and most thankful for is the opportunity to keep the conversation going about how we can, further innovate in the field and find more ways to democratize futures thinking. So I absolutely want to thank the APF for this immense privilege and honor, and really hold up, all of the amazing work that everyone is doing, and really thank Andy and everyone for the opportunity to get accolades from colleagues. Really, there's no greater honor. So thanks so much, and really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
You're still muted, Andy.
And that was a one-of-a-kind thing that we're never gonna know. Okay, so our third winner rather, in the category of analyzing a significant future issue is on foresight investing. And let me say something about this. I'm really excited because if you've been around long enough, you probably had the snarky comment, "But yeah, you can't pick stocks." Well, now we can. Bring it, baby, because Jim can do it, and we have an answer for that. So thank you very much for helping us in our daily life, Jim.
Goodness. Well, wow. Thank you so much. So my name is Jim Lee. I'm the founder of Strategic Foresight Investments. We're a boutique investment advisory firm focused on what happens next. And this is really remarkable. Thank you so much for this recognition. I'd like to thank my editor, Sydney Wagner, who's always made my writing better, and also nominating member Andy Hines, of course. Also Peter Bishop for believing that I was onto something when I first came up with some of these ideas as a student at University of Houston back in 2006. So I would also like to give special recognition to COVID-19 for giving me the time and the space to finish a book that was 15 years in the making. This is the textbook that I always wanted for myself, but it simply didn't exist before now. So the goal of my book is to introduce foresight techniques to the investment community and to quantify the benefits of thinking like a futurist. And what I've learned is that different timeframes require the use of different investment tools. And if you're going to go short term, you need to understand market psychology. This helps with your timing of entry and exit points. If you're thinking midterm, maybe 3 months to 3 years, it's useful to have the skill set of a financial analyst. And I talk about that, and this helps figure out what to buy and sell. But if you want to think about the real big opportunities of the next decade or two, then this is where being a futurist is really helpful. So I'm only slightly joking when I call it my cookbook of half-baked ideas, okay? Because I think you all know by now that being a futurist doesn't work unless you're a little crazy, okay? But the truth is that foresight's the secret sauce that will make you better at almost anything you do, whether it's investment management, design, public policy, or leading an organization. The APF is just this amazing global tribe, and you can get a sense of that tonight, of incredible people. And I'm hoping to see everyone at our next live gathering. Thanks again.
Well, thank you very much, Jim, and all of our winners tonight for sharing. And again, the judges, core team, making it all happen. Well done. And I'll pass the baton back to our MC.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andy. And as you said, congratulations to all of our awardees. Again, Adam Gordon, René Rohrbeck, Jan Schwartz, Jose Ramos, John Sweeney, Kathy Peach, Laurie Smith, and Jim Lee for all their work. Thank you very much. Congratulations. And of course, to Andy Hines and all the team working for this and all the judges. And now we're going for once more to our breakout room. So before that, we go to Rebecca again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mauricio. So this is going to be a little more randomized. This really is just bumping into people on the way to and from the bathroom. So I am putting the chat reminder in here. This is very much like our member roulettes that we host once a month. But this is, who are you and where in the world are you? What are you working on? And let's be brief because we only have a few minutes. And then if you have offers to help each other, please be generous, right? Our generosity, our compassion, our sense of abundance is how we're going to build better futures, brighter futures, which are so in need now. So whenever you're ready, open up those breakout rooms. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful to have you back in here. We're almost done for today. It's been a wonderful event, but we have some words from our vice chair, Tanya Schindler. Tanya, please.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Mauricio, for this, hosting this amazing event. And I want to especially thank you again here, Nicole and her team. I think she hasn't slept for the last 5 days. I don't remember, because the executive committee had 2 weeks ago, they were like, we need to do something at the end of the year. We cannot stop like that. And we need to get some more of the awareness to all of our award winners. So yeah, I cannot thank all the people who volunteer their work on time, but also who's now on the staff of the APF to work and build this with us. And we are just, in the breakout session that I've been concluded a little bit. And I really believe as well that what we achieved this year is to shift the APF and spread it really in the more global way. We had beginning of this event with all of the hosts, 4 continents of Mauricio in Latin America, Rebecca in North America. I'm in Europe, it's 3:17 a.m. in the morning, and with Sherman in Asia Pacific. But most of the times, Sherman in Asia Pacific, or my friends from Australia, because I did my master's there of strategic foresight, has to suffer a little bit of the time differences. So I said, okay, this time Europe has to take the deal and stay up awake at night. And I think this is also something we need to try more and bring global events with different time zones to broaden this community. But what I really also learned today is, what amazing futures work we do. And I think that is on us also to share and to spread this, and also to learn from the next generation, because I mean, their designs on the presentations, really, really well done. And I think this is really where we futurists can learn from, how to communicate and to spread our word by putting this in such designs. It just reaches more people. So I want to give you a really small outlook what we've planned next year, but in general, it's about, what we started this year. And when Sherman and I took this on, it was all about figuring out where the APF is and where we really want to go. And I think the goal was to spread it globally. Next year, I will try my duty. What I also tried this year is to update our website and put a bit more of our members' work there. What are all of you doing? How can we share and connect there? I'm really looking forward to that. And we have 2 or 3 amazing events coming up. We have the Toronto Gathering. We might planning another one in a different spot in the fall. And we have the Futures Festival we really want to bring on again, because this was one joy of diversity again this year. And now I can only say thank you, and thank you to you all to put your passion and your work into future thinking and spreading this into the world to create better futures and positive futures and encourage people to think differently. And if we apply these principles to us and to the APF and challenge ourselves and experiment with things that we haven't done before, even if everything works out, I think that's great. We have to try new things. We have to be more inclusive, and we have to challenge ourselves in the thinking. So thank you all for being here, for supportive, and we really hope to see you all next year. Bring in 5 more people each so we can grow and spread our thinking. And thank you all for being here. And I put it back, Mauricio, for the last closing words. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. And well, we're almost done with this event, and we're almost done with this year. So congratulations to you all. Happy holidays. And I hope you all have a wonderful start of 2022. We're almost there. And let's see what the future and the futures hold for us and for everybody. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And Sherman, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I did my welcome remarks. So again, thank you very much, Hiraya Manowari. Let's keep on doing this. Let us keep the spirit high. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. So happy holidays. See you soon, all of you. Thank you very much for being here. And congratulations to the awardees.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's a great idea.
Cheers to us.